On this episode of New Mexico Frontiers, cooking up a fusion of flavors from the South, we're headed to Kaylin's Southern and Cajun fusion in Rio Rancho. And we're meeting a design engineer from Sandia National Labs that recently received national recognition for his lifelong passion of science and development. Plus, how drones may play a pivotal role in the human colonization of Mars. New Mexico Frontiers starts right now.
This is New Mexico Frontiers. Presented by Veris Research.
Hello and welcome to New Mexico Frontiers. I'm Chad Brummett. Architects and city planners are finding more accurate ways to design and monitor municipalities through digital twins. Now, it's a technology that has been in place in space exploration for more than a decade, and it's now finding earthbound applications right here in New Mexico.
It's a dream solution for city planners, state and federal agencies, and really anyone looking for real-time data on their properties.
And you can understand where garbage trucks were, where really high-density populations were hanging out, whether or not parking was completely filled at your favorite concert, or if you just wanted to understand how traffic was moving. We could get so much more real-time, pertinent, truthful information from a digital twin in a way that hasn't really been possible before.
A phrase first coined in 2010 by NASA, the concept of digital twins has grown into use by a variety of industries.
We see digital twins as a way to help sustain us past the ribbon cutting.
Essentially, a digital twin is a real-time representation of a building or object outfitted with an army of sensors. And those sensors can relay a multitude of data, including temperature, foot traffic, tenant behavior, and so much more.
Steve Jobs put a computer in your pocket, and with digital twins, we're hoping to put a building in your pocket instead, and really give you the ability to see at every perspective what a building is doing, how it's evolving, and how we can change it to better fit our needs.
Felix Diaz is the Director of Advanced Technology for Decker Perrick Sabatini, an architectural firm here in Albuquerque. He says that the firm has been testing the emerging technology in architecture on a subject that is easily trackable: themselves.
It helps us to amplify what we already do extremely well and gives us another tool, another voice, another way to show our clients that we understand what they need, but more importantly, that they have a way to tell us what they need.
The team at DPS says that digital twins are utilized long after the ribbon cutting for a new building. Over time, architects and designers can analyze data collected on a building to better determine how it is used in real-world applications, make corrections and diagnostics from remote locations.
Wow.
You can move things around just like that.
So crazy.
And even inform future renovations and expansions of existing designs.
And we can really help clients, property managers, to realize how important that is and what the digital twin tool can bring to them in terms of predictability in what they're doing, long-term budgeting, a number of different things.
Benjamin Gardner is CEO of DPS, and he foresees digital twins being a game changer in the industry. And for a company like Decker Perrick Sabatini, who hosts a diverse portfolio of clients, the tool can help small educational institutions, retail and multifamily housing projects, as well as governmental builds for organizations like Sandia National Labs and Kirtland Air Force Base.
Whether it's facility management, an owner, even the tenants living in these buildings that we design, you can use the digital twin to understand power usage, understand sustainability, even just understand who is where inside of a building to help you better use that space and make sure that every inch fits your needs.
Now, Diaz says that in addition to their own firm, DPS is implementing the technology on a handful of their new projects with clients, hoping that digital twins will someday become the rule to smart design rather than the exception. Well, coming up, we are sitting down with a design engineer from Sandia National Labs that has been nationally recognized for his work in the labs and in the community. And later, find out how drones may be the bridge to human colonization on Mars. New Mexico Frontiers will be right back.
Veris Research is the title sponsor of New Mexico Frontiers.
Labs across the state are in full press to keep the best and brightest engineers here in New Mexico. And we recently had the opportunity to meet a shining star at Sandia National Labs who was getting national attention for his work.
Anthony Garcia is living the American dream. The happily married father of two has been working at Sandia National Lab since 2007 on projects we're not even at liberty to share in this story. But that's not what we're focusing on here.
There was a lot of hardships, and there was always this kind of American dream that they had, that my grandfather had especially, that he was going to take his kids to America where you could be successful.
Garcia's maternal grandfather brought his family to the United States from Chile in the 1960s, surviving a litany of challenges, including a massive 9.5 earthquake in May of 1960, the most powerful earthquake ever recorded.
He worked hard, my family worked hard their entire lives to give us opportunities.
Garcia's father grew up in Tucumcari, living with 6 siblings in a modest one-bedroom home. His dad, the first in his family to graduate from college.
And I could really see kind of the delta in the life before he got his college education and after, and just what an impact that made on his opportunities and the opportunities that I would have if I did the same thing.
Opportunities to grow and learn were paramount in the Garcia family. As Anthony fondly recalls, he was gifted a set of craft sticks as a child, a gift that would foster his innate curiosity and problem-solving skills.
It was the best present that I'd got, and something I still remember, and we still kind of talk about it as a family, but I was able to make things, and then that kind of gave me a passion for making things and figuring how things work and how do things put together.
Garcia would go on to earn his undergrad at the University of New Mexico, but he didn't want to stop there, partly because he knew the cards were stacked against him in the world of engineering.
There's a bit of an imposter syndrome you get, especially as a minority, that you don't necessarily belong amongst the top scientists and people in your field.
According to Zippia, there are more than 228,000 engineers employed in the United States, but only 9% of those are Latino. With just over half of New Mexico identifying as Hispanic, it's a sector in the labor force that has plenty of room to grow.
Even when I was an undergrad or in high school, I would say, even before undergrad, you tell kids that you wanted to become something like an engineer, you wanted to work for NASA, and you would immediately get told, like, you can't do that. You're not from that community. You don't belong there.
Defying stereotypes, Anthony went on to earn his PhD in mechanical engineering from UNM. As a design engineer with Sandia, he's had a hand on numerous projects, from concept to creation over the years. Just recently, his work was recognized on the national stage, earning the Star of Today Award in government through the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
It was great to share that with my wife and my kids.
His kids and the next generation of engineers coming up behind him keep Anthony leaning forward in his work, knowing that while success like his is earned, the people around you, the people who motivate you, can make dreams a reality.
I'd like to be able to show kids that they can come from humble beginnings and then get to the places that they want to get to in their life. Someone like them, someone that came from humble beginnings too, someone that looks like them and talks like them, can get to places that they may not have dreamed about.
Ever the humble man, Garcia is quick to acknowledge the work of his colleagues as well, saying that they have accomplished great things as a team, which adds even more value to the prestigious honor. Well, when we come back, we are diving into the best catfish etouffee this side of the Rio Grande. Find out how this entrepreneur turned her passion into a profession. And later, scientists at New Mexico Tech are taking inspiration from the natural world for technology that could take us to Mars.
New Space is the proud aerospace sponsor of New Mexico Frontiers.
Catfish etouffee isn't a dish landlocked states are typically treated to, but it is one of the many Cajun dishes available at Caitlin's Southern and Cajun Fusion in Rio Rancho. Now, this small eatery with big flavors is the brainchild of an entrepreneur who turned passion into profit.
Browned catfish, breaded okra fried to perfection, and hearty etouffee with a generous helping of the good stuff. It's all in a day's work here at Caitlin's Southern and Cajun Fusion.
I just learned to cook. When I was 9 years old, I just loved to cook. I watched the old-fashioned cooking shows like Julia Childs and all them, and just for next thing you know, I was in the kitchen making stuff.
The mastermind behind this modest eatery at 528 in Ridgecrest in Rio Rancho is Karen Johnson Bay, a woman who is no stranger to the food industry.
Now, you said that you started with a food truck? That was the first sort of
Yeah,
venture?
so what I did is I bought an old camping trailer and converted it to a food truck. This is way back in the 90s before they had all the rules and regulations. And matter of fact, my first restaurant, they didn't have it until we had the commercial equipment. I had like a regular house refrigerator in there, and I had a hot plate to cook on. And you didn't have to have anything back in the 90s to where it's so different now.
You see, Karen's gastronomic journey isn't typical in the food business. She has never had formal training as a chef. Rather, she thought of accounting before following her true passion.
I learned everything as I went along, how to do portions, how to do the pricing, how to do the plates, how to buy the plates. There's so much to learn.
Not one for school, Karen dove early and often into the food business, working first in catering, then running food trucks before it was cool, opening a New Mexico restaurant 30 years ago, then finally tapping into her father's roots, frying up Southern and Cajun cuisine in Rio Rancho.
I remember before I had this place and I used to work somewhere else, I used to drive up here at nighttime when it was vacant and wish this place was mine. I would put my bright lights on here. It's like, man, I wish I had enough guts to get a place again. I was like, yeah, and I would drive off. Then I'd come another night, I'd do it again, and then I'd bring my mom, and she's like, you should go for it.
Yet Karen will be the first to tell you running your own business, let alone a restaurant, isn't easy.
I think as an entrepreneur, it takes a special person. It's not really for anyone who's scared to death of everything in life, because you just never know how it's going to work out. So you just have to just take your chances.
Kaylin's had been open for just 5 years before COVID threw the world into a tailspin. According to an article published last year by Restaurant Business Online, smaller eateries have struggled significantly more than their larger counterparts, especially when it comes to food prices and personnel retention. However, Karen says that her patrons have stood by her, often going well beyond what a typical customer will do for their favorite food joint.
I don't want you here by yourself at night. I'm going to stay here until you close, and they'll come and help me with the dishes. It's been people are just really something else.
Kaylin's continues to specialize in Southern and Cajun fusion, but the catering menu can cover anything from American to Italian, and a little bit of everything in between. The diverse palate pleaser is a direct result of Karen's unwavering will to learn and grow as an independent businesswoman.
Times when I drive up here, I just think to myself, I can't believe how far I've came, and this is like, I did it. It's crazy. It really is.
Kaylin's hosts an annual crawfish boil every February, and Johnson Bay has fresh crawfish flown in for the special event. And as she says, the food's usually gone before the festivities are over. Well, after the break, we're headed to New Mexico Tech to get a sneak peek at the next generation of drones, taking inspiration from good old Mother Nature. Researchers and engineers at New Mexico Tech are working on the next generation of drone technology, and the future of unmanned vehicles is finding inspiration from Mother Nature.
While it may be decades before man ever sets foot on Mars, once we get there, don't expect a welcoming committee.
Because of the extreme condition on Mars, it would be really hard to create habitats in the surface.
You don't need a Schwarzenegger sci-fi to scare you. The high radiation, sub-zero temperatures, and toxic dust are more likely to kill you than spies and assassins.
Therefore, space agencies are looking below ground for future habitation in Mars's lava tubes.
There are like thousands of them. They're being found on Mars by one of the missions that NASA conducted.
However, most of the robotic vehicles are too large to fit through the vents to these caves for further exploration. That's where an army of drones may come into play. Drones that are taking inspiration from our natural world.
We have been trying to look at the nature from different perspectives and biologists and try to learn and develop new types of drone systems as well as robots.
Dr. Mustafa Hassanalian at New Mexico Tech has spent years developing drones of all shapes and sizes. KRQE first told you about his drones that use taxidermied birds in April of 2023.
The researchers use dead bird carcasses and feathers, and with the help of taxidermists in Albuquerque, attach them to a drone.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Drones that mimic the behavior of roly-polies and dandelions could hold the key to the future colonization of the red planet.
So then those robots can disperse those dandelion seeds. They can collect information, temperature, humidity, pressure, and we can now we will know what's going on in subsurface on Mars.
Wow.
So we have a better idea about this potential habitat.
Dr. Hassanalian says that there are more than 50 different types of drones on the market these days with more than 200 applications. But his research is looking to expand on both of those. It's really interesting because we're not just thinking of birds, but I mean, you know, looking at this, we've got dragonflies, we've got spiders, we've got jellyfish, and they've all got a variety of different applications. So it's not just talking about airborne drone technology. I mean, this is a huge world of different applications that drones will be inhabiting.
Exactly. So the couple of the projects that here we have been doing at New Mexico Tech is how we can inspire from nature in general. So if you look at the terrestrial animals, insects, they all give us an idea, and part of the research that we have been doing is developing autonomous system for planetary exploration, like how we can develop new way of locomotion or novel robots that they can be more efficient than the traditional like wheel-based or track-based robot that they're currently on Moon or Mars.
Biomimicry and bioinspiration, as Dr. Hassanalian calls it, use the blueprints provided by Mother Nature to develop these next-generation drones. He says their applications could be as menial as maintenance and observation, or as vital as first response to an emergency. And
I'm not interested in Saturn. I said Mars.
Making life on Mars possible without the total recall.
Dr. Hassanalian and his team of engineers are also leaning into historical, cultural, and religious iconography to find inspiration for future drones. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of New Mexico Frontiers. For more information and a recap of the entire show, just head over to our website at krqe.com. Thanks for joining us.